for me, this whole next sequence, which is like, the climax of the episode, I feel like this is like one of the best space fights, like space sequences in all Star Wars. Uh, to me, this was like what I wanted from Solo, and I actually like the Solo movie. I think it's decent enough, but like to me, this kind of like puts the whole Kessel Run to shame, which is sad because the Kessel Run is supposed to be a huge deal. It's supposed to be like a really huge deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're going through the eye, right?
Yes, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a festival, and it's called the Eye.
Yeah, and it's like a meteor shower. Kind of looks like the Northern Lights. Dude, this episode looked amazing.
Yeah.
When they're flying through it, looks amazing. Also, we can't forget, we haven't seen stormtroopers just yet. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more later, if there's time. But we have seen now the TIE fighter pilots.
Yes.
And this is like the first time that they feel intimidating. Not only the pilots, like the troopers, but also the TIE fighters themselves, because we know that TIE fighters from like the movies and shows that we've seen, they can blow up pretty easily. But they've come across as a big threat, even when they're flying over the town. You remember that shot where they're like flying over the fields? I'm sorry, like the farmland.
Oh yeah, they'll mess you up.
And like people and the rebels are scared and they're hiding. But I love that it's like we're taking these pilots and we're taking the ships a little more serious now for this series. And yeah, so this whole chase scene with the TIE fighters going after the transport through the eye, it's amazing. And like you mentioned, unfortunately, our boy gets crushed. It's so rough too. But yeah, one of the cases of the credits, I think it was just like slides over and crushes his abdomen, and yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, I feel like it breaks all of his ribs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm sure he gives out a scream too that I can remember, and you're just like, oh geez, like, yeah, he's done for.
And then what's crazy is that he's the person that's supposed to be, giving the coordinates to help navigate Cassian through this, because Cassian can fly, but he needs the coordinates. He needs to know where to go. And so like they're able to give him like a med stick, I think is what they called it, like this injection, and to keep him alive for a little bit longer. And he's like calling out, telling him to climb or to dive. Meanwhile, the meteor shower or the eye is kind of like ripping their ship apart a little bit too, and then the TIE fighters are still on them. But yeah, just an amazing scene. Loved it. This is like my favorite part of this whole series so far.
Yeah, it was like that. It was a mix of emotions for sure, where it was intense. Like you felt sad, like you knew this guy was gonna die. Like he's pretty much doing the last thing that he can do to help the people in the rebellion, and you just feel bad for him, but you're also like freaking out. You don't know if they're gonna crash or the TIE fighters are gonna get him, or where, like, what's gonna happen. So I loved that scene, and that like whole ending of this episode was fantastic, emotional, gripping for sure, and it was just a spectacle for sure. Like you're saying, it looked good. The people that worked on She-Hulk should be embarrassed. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Seriously,
because like what I don't even know. Don't even want to get into it. I don't know what they're doing over there, but yeah, this was like shot well. Everything was awesome. So,
and I mean, Mandalorian looks good, but even Mandalorian doesn't look this good.
Yeah,
as this show, like, this is the best looking show. Yeah. It really is if you go and compare side by side. So I I don't know. I guess I'm hoping that season 3 will look even more pristine for Mando.
Yeah, we'll see how much the sets they do and if they go like different locations, because that's usually like the tell like sign of what's going on. Like I feel as if 4 through 5 and even 6, a lot of those locations like in the hills, I felt like I was there. Like they probably went somewhere to shoot those. And so yeah, it really did a good job with how they handled everything. It looks better.
Yes.
So
all right, so let's get a couple more comments. Ryan says, always game for more canon live action TIE footage. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as like Star Wars sounds go,
oh my gosh,
not a lot tops the sound of a TIE fighter flying by.
Yeah, some of that, like those shots I did with them flying over the rebellion base camp right there, and they're all freaking out, and you hear the screaming of a TIE fighter coming in, like, whoo.
Yeah.
So
kind of finishing up episode 6, they're able to get out of the eye, and that was interesting too. One of the guys who's left, the guy that's been giving Cassian a hard time for a while, who just giving him trouble, he wants to to help save the kid who just got injured really badly. And then Vel, she doesn't necessarily want to help him. She just wants to get the heck out of there. But Cassian decides to land, and then they find a doctor and trying to get him some help, but it's not looking good. It doesn't work out for him. And then we get to have this conversation. The gist of it was that he wants to just split the money between him and Cassian, and like leave Vel out of it.
He just seems like a punk.
Yeah, he really does. And then Cassian thought he was like a little bit more noble from like one of the last conversations that they had, but it turns out that he lied to him about like having a brother and stuff.
With a ranch.
Yeah, and so yeah, he keeps kind of like talking about just like the two of them, getting out of there and splitting it, and then he's he'll forget about Cassian and everything, and they'll both just part ways. And then Cassian does his Cassian move, and he shoots him right there on the spot. That's his go-to move. He's fast on the trigger.
Yeah, he does not care. He will shoot anybody.
Yep. So
you get his order wrong at McDonald's. Sorry, you're done. He said no mayo. Okay, done for.
So yep, takes him out.
It's an interesting conversation. He has a conversation with him where he's like, "Listen, Cassian, we're both the same. I knew the moment I saw you. Like we come from nothing, and all we know is to crawl over anybody else to get out of bad situations." And yeah, he like hits him with that ultimatum, like, "Let's get out of here. Let's split it. I don't even care about you. I don't even have a brother. I'm just basically a selfish person." Basically just makes himself sound like a lunatic.
Right.
And Cass is like, "Dude, I don't like." When he was saying that to Cass, you could see in Cass's head, like, "I don't trust you after you just spilled all that stuff and said like you're willing to kill anybody. Like you're probably gonna kill me immediately." So Cass like just like, "All right, dude, like that's it then. See you later, pal." Like done for.
Yeah, I really think that that's something that's going through his head when he decides to pull the trigger on these people. Is it's really kill or be killed.
Yeah, like he doesn't trust anybody, and so especially some shady guy I just met that's like, "Dude, let's steal all this money from the rebellion. Let's go out like live our lives." So he's like, "Dude, why would I even? You're probably gonna kill me. Like, you want me to fly the ship so we can go somewhere? You can shoot me? Like, that's not gonna happen, dude."
And also, he can fight. He can fight to a degree, hand to hand, but but he is like, I don't think he's that tall, and he's definitely pretty skinny. And the other guys wasn't. So a lot of the guys that he's running into these altercations with, he's at disadvantage. So I think that kind of makes sense too. Obviously, it's not cool that he's just shooting them, but yeah, all these things that I'm assuming are going through his mind.
He's a very calculated person with very little emotion.
Yeah,
and that's just the kind of character Cassian is. If he only sees one way out, he's gonna take that one way out and he doesn't care what he has to do for that one way out. He's just gonna do it, just because he doesn't want to die, and he still has his motives that we talked about last week with his sister that he's still trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's part of this too. I think his bitterness, it's made him cold.
100%. So,
but then after that, turned him into a gangster,
straight up. So then after he shoots that guy and he talks to that chick, what's her name again? Val. Goes and talks to Val and says, like, dude, he was about to just take the money and get out of here. She doesn't even believe him. And he's like, I just want my cut. Like, I don't even care. Just give me my 40 million and like, I will go wherever. I don't care if you live or die. Like, I did the mission. I need to get paid. Take the crystal, bring it back to your daddy, I guess.
Well,
maybe. And so he's like out. He's out at this point, and he doesn't want anything to deal like with the rebellion or anything like that. So that's what I was saying earlier. I'm curious to see how he gets kind of roped back into the like rebellion, because he was over it. He was done. He was out in episode 6. He's did his job for this weird guy that he was just trying to sell something to. I got roped into this mission, and poor kid dies, unfortunately. Doctor looks like a weirdo with his goggles and stuff, but we're gonna get past that. But yeah, how did you feel about this scene? Like, did you feel the same way I felt? Like, where he's sick of it. He doesn't even want to be a part of anything, or like, did you get a sense that he kind of wants to do something, but just has other objectives to complete, or what?
I think if he's torn between the two decisions, it's like very, very little. I think he's more so of the mindset that that they're just crazy for thinking that they can really hurt them to the level that they think they can. Because he knows that he can outsmart the Empire. He knows that he can steal from them. But he doesn't think that that they can all make that big of a difference to bring them down.
Okay.
I think he's trying to be a realist here.
He's calculated.
Yeah.
Gosh,
he's right in a lot of ways, because at this point they really can't do anything to really hurt them a whole lot. I mean, them stealing the money did a little bit, but on the big picture, they can't hurt them. Like, even when we get to episode 4, they're struggling to hurt them. It's not until like the very end. And so we're seeing now that's what's cool about this show too, is like, some people are like, well, why am I going to care about, Cassian's story if I already know that, that he dies in Rogue One? Sorry, I should have done the spoiler thing. Hopefully you guys have seen Rogue One.
If you haven't seen Rogue One, guys, I don't know.
Yeah, why are you here? Yeah. Yeah, so, but it's not just about, his story. This is about the beginning of the rebellion, and how he's played a huge part in it, and then these other characters that he's surrounded by also play a huge part. And it's like a lot of these small fights that they're doing, like, the battles that they're going through, or the missions they're going through, are ultimately